What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P with Shannon White for another episode of the Steelers Global Perspective. We're talking our favorite training camp battles up in the Trobe. What's it going to be? Who the title fights are? Guys fighting for the roster or fighting for a particular position to hold that for the Steelers. We'll see how many we get through. Might only be one. Knowing Shannon and I, we can get pretty robust and in-depth and detailed, but that's why you listen to us. All right, Shannon, let's go straight into it. We'll see if we've got time for one from me or we've got time for a couple more. But let's get into your favorite training camp battle, the one you can't wait to watch.
Well, actually, I got two or three, so I'll try to keep it short. But my favorite is slot corner.
Oh, yeah, right. So the Steelers lost Shannon Sullivan. Well, they chose not to keep Shannon Sullivan. Since Sutton's slot corner's been a bit of a 50-50. And even then with Cam Sutton, people talk about bringing back. Even with Cam Sutton, the Steelers really wasn't like he was a really, really great slot guy. He was kind of pegged in there. Other teams prioritize slot corner. I'm waiting for a draft in the next couple of years where the Steelers prioritize the slot corner position like we've seen with like guys like Brian Branch previously. But yeah, let's get straight into slot corner and who's battling it out for the slot corner position.
Well, see, I thought that when you mentioned Cam Sutton, all I can think of is those battles with him and Hilton. Yeah. Because Hilton was the physical run stopper, and it brought that intensity, blitzing out of the slot. And then when you needed coverage, you brought in Cam. Yeah. So Sutton. So you had a great coverage there, but with two guys. So it was always a battle, but you knew both was going to get playing time. Well, this year, I think Beanie Bishop out of West Virginia, undrafted free agent, I think that people was going to be shocked how much that he's going to remind them of Mike Hilton with his physicality, his intensity, how hard he plays. But he's way faster than Hilton. And he's way better at coverage. Now, Bishop can get time on the outside too, especially in certain matchups, because he'll give up size, but that guy battles.
Yeah.
And I think he is going to make this team. And I think that as a rookie, he will see snaps. So, who's he battling against? Is it Anthony Averett? Is he going to be the guy in there competing to be starting slot, or as we said earlier, Deshaun Elliott can play in the slot.
Kazi
guy is Ryan Watts. Because listen, I'm looking at Ryan Watts at rookie camp. The dude is as tall as Porter, and
he's taller. Price. He's taller than Porter.
Yeah, and his arms is longer than all of them, 34 and a half inches. That dude is like, I said before, the Steelers would get Smurfs. Now they're getting avatars. And this kid is put together. I see why people think he's going to be a safety because he's huge. But, hey, put him in the slot. He's going to press these guys, especially bigger receivers. I went back and watched and say, why were they down on him coming out of Texas? And one of my podcast partners, Kevin Tate, he's like, well, he runs like a 4.7. I said, oh, no. He runs like a 4.51. He's not slow. He's not 4.3 guy. But when you put that size with a 4.51 and them long arms, and the guys he struggled with in college, Texas was matching up with Oregon. They was matching up with all the teams in the Big 12. There's a lot of receivers in the pros this year that he had, and when he struggled, it was usually against an Aduze or somebody.
Well, the other thing too, though, that thing too is
he has trouble tracking the ball when it's in there.
But the other thing too is every time he lined up in college, he was lining up against Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. So if they're such great wide receivers that can get drafted in the top rounds, then
he's ready for professional ball. He's ready for it because he faced it, as you said, at practice. And he faced it with, being in the playoffs, college playoffs. So I think he's going to surprise people, and that he's another guy that, it makes sense to make him a safety down the line somewhere. But
Yeah.
right now, he can give you snaps out of the slot. He's a great gunner. And he's got attributes that you just can't, you're born with that.
Yeah.
That size, that length. So, but I'm thinking that Beanie Bishop will win the battle by midseason, and he will get the majority of the slot snaps, and they'll use other guys depending on matchups.
And you know what? The Steelers and the Texas Longhorns, who are both the teams I support in college and the NFL, are very lucky that Ryan Watts is probably not 3 inches taller, because he would definitely be a basketballer at that point with that wingspan
Oh, yeah.
and that height.
And he's a good athlete. Was
Yes.
it almost the 40-inch vertical?
Yes, I think it was a 39.
Yeah, it was up there. I mean, I can't
Or 39 and a half or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player. Okay. Do you have a second camp battle?
Yes.
Go
to
for
me, it's all about who's going to be the main slot guy on offense. Because I know we talked about Roman Wilson. There's a step up. It's coming from college. Again, another guy who played against a lot of guys that's going to be playing on Sunday. And I think that Roman Wilson will eventually win that position. But you've got Calvin Austin, the third, who plays more on the outside, and you got Scotty Miller now. You got Quez Watkins, all kind of competing for the same, so one or two guys ain't making it.
Mm.
And that's going to be an interesting battle. I think that Miller, I think he learned a lot playing with Tom Brady and, that playoff experience, that Super Bowl experience. I think it gives him an edge. In this offense, I think that Russell Wilson's going to like him a lot. I think Justin Fields will like him a lot because I think he's trustworthy and reliable, and he'll get open. Because I don't know if you remember Tom Brady's last year, their offense was bad.
Yeah, it was.
And that was with Mike Evans and with Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin. Yeah.
And Miller. And Miller, I think he had 30, 40 catches. And it was a lot of short first down catches on third down.
Yeah.
Because Brady trusted him to get open. I see him not only making the team, but I see him doing that a lot. And that the quarterbacks can trust him. And it wouldn't shock me if he gets a lot of third down targets.
Yeah. I mean, particularly if they're not going to go, if they're going to ignore a guy like Renfro, and Renfro is similar to him, then yeah, you'd have to think that that's the case. I've got a different camp battle. I think I agree with all the ones you've said. I think with the show we talked about position needs. I think there's going to be battles there on the defensive line. I think Benton's really going to press Ogunjobi for a starting spot. Like, there's different guys that I kind of like. But my favorite camp battle, because if it's camp, I want to see the Plumlee versus Allen. I want to find out who's going to take this third Steelers quarterback spot. I just want to see who's getting the reps, who's getting the targets, and can Plumlee actually, because like the rumor, everyone's talked about him converting to wide receiver, but like apparently he's going to throw as well from the reports that I read. So I want to see Allen versus Plumlee at quarterback. I'm just interested to see what the third guy looks like.
Well, that if you look at the way the Steelers are going at quarterback, Russell Wilson is a heck of an athlete. Now he's older, but he's always been a heck of an athlete. Justin Fields is more athletic than any quarterback since he's been drafted. I'll just tell you right now, when you combine speed, explosiveness, arm strength, all of it, none of them touch him.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson's the closest thing. But now Plumlee, that kid is a freak athlete too. He's shorter, but I mean, he is
Can't be as short as Russ. No one's as short as Russ.
Well, but you know what I mean as far as
yeah.
But yeah, so if the Steelers are looking for that kind of offense, and say they're going to work in some RPOs and some situations where they want the quarterback to, keep her and do some running, Plumlee might knock Allen out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, I really am rooting for Russ. I wasn't, at first I wanted Fields,
You were
but
pretty
I'm rooting
anti
for
Russell
Wilson because
for a while.
this schedule, this situation, this team, the youth, I think they need Russell Wilson's experience. They need his leadership. They need his ability not to panic. And I think that he can operate this offense if he could just be a game manager with some explosive moments. And I think that he needs to be that mentor to Fields because Fields is more like him in ways. And they say that Fields is really seems different now. Well, he ain't expected to be a savior of a franchise like he was in Chicago. Now he's going to get the setback without pressure, being thrown in as number one. He's going to be the backup. And they can use him. Like I said, we got to remember the Ravens, when they had Flacco, they would just move, a series or two each half with Lamar Jackson. And they say that Lamar can handle it. So they eventually started him over Flacco. But I think Fields needs to rebuild his confidence. I think that'll help him see the field better and get back to what he was at Ohio State. And so I think it will only help him develop if Wilson can be the starter.
I'm glad that you tied the quarterback to the schedule. I think that's a really interesting insight that a lot of people aren't talking about. But it's also why I think the Steelers' schedule is quite good because a lot of people are cranky about it, but Week 10, Washington. Week 9, bye. Week 8, New York. Week 7, New York. Week 6, Las Vegas. Week 5, Dallas. If for whatever reason Russ doesn't come out of the gates firing or Russ suffers some sort of injury, which could happen. Like we went through, what was it, like 45 starting quarterbacks last year, I think the NFL went through. That schedule is very friendly in the middle of the season to put Justin Fields in either scenario.
But they got to utilize him in some special packages each game.
No, but I'm just talking about
to keep him mentally ready.
I think they will.
I think they will too. Yeah.
Particularly, is it week 4 they play the Colts in? Yeah, week 4.
Yeah, week
the Colts. 4, as if indoor, they're not, because they're going there. So
yeah, it's in Indianapolis.
So as if they're not going to use him indoor, he's going to tear it up indoor. As if they're not going to. It is too attractive a matchup for a creative mind like Arthur Smith to not put Justin Fields against Anthony Richardson. It's like that's happening. Like I said it here first. Like that's happening.
Can you imagine the level of quarterback athleticism if those two guys play in that game? That's insane.
Yeah, and I even have a special package with put Russ, Fields, and Plumlee on the field together. There you go.
Well, I've joked about it a lot, but the Steelers have been so predictable and boring for the last 3 or 4 years on offense. Now look at all these options and things that if you do have, you're inquisitive and you're creative, RPO packages. You have Harris and Warren are both great blockers. Let them lead and let him keep the ball. And if they're going to blow people up, I just think that there's so much they can do now. In the past, they didn't have enough weapons. Now, in the hands of the right man, and hopefully that's Arthur Smith, they got a multitude of weapons.
That's what I never understood. I'm going to say this, and people are going to go, well, it's not Madden, but you can't do it in Madden, so that people can go kick a rock. I never understood why they didn't try anything with Gentry, right?
Yeah.
The guy got drafted, the guy got acquired by Michigan as a quarterback. The guy was 6'7".
Yeah.
Right? They tried that Paxton Lynch kid for a while there, right? He was way an adult by then. Why wouldn't you at least consider a cool red zone package? Why wouldn't you consider a cool red zone package with especially because of Freemuth and his height and Gentry to him? I just never understood stuff like that. Why not just give it a go? You don't have to have 2 plays But if it works and if it scores you like scores for you at a key moment, great. Like,
Yeah.
like
Like I said, I see the possibilities, and I hope it comes to fruition.
that's it. Well, is there any other little camp battles or camp niggles or anything else related to the camp battle that you wanted to cover off before we call it a show?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yours kind of was in line with mine as well as the. So I really can't think of anything else.
Do you know why though? I'm happy about that. And because there are battles that we could have been talking about depending on what draft they had. We could be talking about a linebacker battle between Mark Robinson and some other UDFA linebacker. We could have been talking about a center battle, right? Because they missed out on Zach Frazier and Cedric Van Pran and then Jackson Powers Johnson. We could have been talking about a battle at tackle because the tackle didn't fall to them at 20, but instead they got a cornerback, right? I think the fact that there's not camp battle after camp battle that we're keen to see, which there is and often other years.
But I will say one more thing real quick. I think that we're going to see the ascension of Peyton Wilson this year. I got this weird feeling that they got the most pro-ready because he's 24, his experience, he won everything in North Carolina State. Any award that you could give for as a inside linebacker, he won it. And I think that kid's ready to come in and play right now. His first day, they were trying to run at rookie camp. They wanted to match, put the defense in one and run something that, against a particular defense. And Wilson kept changing the defense and telling the other rookies where to go. And he was saying, you need to go, because he was trying to match up. That's not what the coaches wanted. But he already knows the playbook. He is so brilliant. Not only is he a great, great, great athlete, but his football IQ is off the charts. That guy is the ultimate green dot. And don't be shocked if he's starting and Landon Roberts is doing his bench role, that really good bench guy. I think Peyton Wilson's going to knock him out of a starting position.
I don't disagree. My knock only on him was don't take him too high because of the injury history.
Oh, they got to steal, man. Right? They got to steal.
I couldn't put out a video this week because I've been too unwell. But I've got two things about Peyton Wilson that I'm dying to talk about, right? So I'm going to be careful about what I say right now because I will be putting them out. But let's just say I completely agree with you.
Anybody of a certain age, thank Chad Brown. Because when you watch Peyton Wilson, you're going to see Chad Brown. With a touch of Luke Kuechly.
Well, I was about to say, I see a 4'3" longer Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
I just do.
I'm so excited about him. I really am.
So I'm super pumped on him as well. And no, I won't say it. I'll save it for the video. But I'm also angry. But Shannon, always good to talk Steelers with you. Pittsburgh Steelers fans will have more content coming out over the next few weeks as we will go into training camp and battles and the off season and the dog days of summer and all that sort of stuff. But you will find Shannon White and I here on the Steelers Global Perspective, always talking everything Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, with that, we're gonna call it a show. As always, go Steelers.